about a very stupid own goal.
So there's a lot of emotions going on right now in the football world.
Yes,
quite interesting.
And the fact that majority of people also don't like the fact that Arsenal is the leading right now. Let me tell you, Ankey,
sometimes I wish that I had somebody else who is a different team besides you, because I feel like you're always biased to Arsenal. Would you say anytime that Arsenal isn't leading, Arsenal isn't doing good?
But we are doing good right now. Let me
You're improving. Not
improving. We are there already. Because let me tell you, Ankey, last season, a time like this, we had gone into 3 matches into it. We scored no goal and we were beaten all of them. This season, Arsenal is the only team, by the way, and we are trending, that has scored in all their matches, and we are 9 points into the table. No team is doing that so far. I mean, tell me a better team than Arsenal right now. None.
All right. Congratulations. Watu wa blue.
Thank you very much. Watu wa wanakuwa relegated leo usiku, by the way. They are playing Liverpool.
Sawa. Tunangoja match na mkrashiwe, by the way. Mi maringo ya studio. Let's go over to national issues now, also trending on Twitter. And I can see there, Simba, if you check closely with me, the IEBC commissioners is trending.
Yes.
If we could get that correctly. Real quick, we do know why IBC is trending. The war now that we're seeing in the current political status quo is the IBC versus the Azimio coalition. It's quite interesting, the events that are happening, especially after the just concluded general elections. And if I pick randomly what Kenyans are saying as far as IBC is concerned, you can see on the dailies headlines like how Raila, quote-unquote, loyalists, like people loyal to Azimio, are spreading fake news about IEBC commissioners. So really what is trending right now is about IEBC commissioners. I can see David Murathe.
Yes.
They're tweeting also saying breaking, apparently it's trying to say that's breaking news. 4 IEBC commissioners who refuted Wafula Chebukati's presidential election results just confirmed that they will indeed file affidavits in support of Azimio La Umoja petition at the Supreme Court of Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, he says, freedom. Are
those the fake news that the Raila Amolo Odinga loyalists are spreading about the IEBC commissioners?
But yet to find out, really. This is social media. Seemingly on social media, anything goes. Quite disheartening.
I'm also looking at Nelson Harvey's tweet as pertains to that particular one. He's saying, I remember how, as LSK president, I fought Uhuru Kenyatta in court and parliament over the appointment of the selection panel and the 4 renegade IEBC commissioners. I was told that even if I get my appointee to the panel, Uhuru will still get his way. How he did, but for how long? That's exactly what Nelson Harvey is talking about. By the way, the 4 that dissented, by the way, those IBC commissioners, it's true that they were actually got the appointment by outgoing president Uhuru Kenyatta, isn't it? Yeah, that's exactly what you have to read into that and confirm. That's exactly what Nelson Harvey is talking about, that particular. And indeed, when he was the LSK president, he was actually on record saying that the appointment of the 4 commissioners then, the IEBC commissioners, should be clear on who is exactly supposed to touch on it. Yes.
All right. I'm not sure he's trying to insinuate anything, but just moving on to still the IEBC commissioners trending this morning. Stephen Mutoro at S. Mutoro also commented on the same on Twitter, and I will read directly his tweet. Regardless of political affiliations, he says, according to his tweet, Kenyans must be wary of tainted IEBC commissioners who won't resign, yet they hold irreconcilable views at Supreme Court, trash doctrine of collective responsibility, and purport to espouse the oath of office and allegiance to the Constitution. Interestingly, there are 2 pictures there of Juliana and Chebukati.
And Chebukati as well. Ankey, should you resign? Why? Why am I resigning? I'm just saying the process that we underwent through as a commission that to get you the results, I don't agree with it. Why should I resign?
I think what they're trying to talk about is we've had a history here. We've had a history with the same faces in the general elections conducted in this country. So if you have been questionable whatsoever, he's suggesting, therefore, it must be high time. You either step down, move aside, so we do not have questions raised. Well, those are his opinions.
That's according to Stephen Mutoro, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with him. I mean, Ankey, we're together in a house, and if you do something that I don't agree with, I don't have to get out of the house. I just go report you.
Is there a pattern? Is there a pattern?
No.
You don't have to if it's once. If there's a pattern, perhaps we need to reconsider.
That's it.
But of course, that's just issues that have been arising. There are other trending hashtags this morning, Simba. I'm not sure what you have on your end.
I've seen Raila is also trending, and we do know why it is trending. Yesterday, they went to a church service in a donor home, and then after they did hold a political rally to give hope to his supporters in Kibra, just telling them that things are going on correctly. We're going to follow the process. We're going to go to the Supreme Court, launch that petition, and we're pretty confident that we are going to emerge victorious after that petition. So that's exactly what was said around that area. That's why Raila Amolo Odinga is specifically trending on that one.
Simba,
and, yes.
I'm sorry to interject. Is it during this same service that Raila Odinga also said that without justice, really, he wouldn't speak about eternal peace?
That's it.
Yes.
That's it, because it actually makes sense, isn't it? But which is why we do have these arms of the government that actually would come in and then solve this. We're a democratic nation. If you feel that you are aggrieved in any process, we tell you to go to court.
Yes.
It's gone to court. So let's wait for that justice then to be served in the corridors of court, isn't it? And after that, we can come back and say, well, the courts decided this is the way forward then.
Yeah, and I like the way we call it, it's pursuit for justice, but at the end of the day, the decision lies with the judiciary. And of course, just to read one tweet on the same Raila now trending, Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi SC saying, starting Kesho, which is today, I believe, I will run a Twitter commentary on the Supreme Court petition that will be filed by Honorable Raila. I will appraise the strength and weaknesses of the case, the responses by the respondents, and the jurisprudential clue we should look for from the 7 judges. He says, I will predict the decision. So you want to find out on how this, council will be working out the petition. Well, you want to follow him and find out how this then turns out. But basically, those are the things that are trending this morning. There is more on Twitter for you. Check it out. And of course, tag us at Lookup TV using the hashtag The Morning Drift, even as we get deeper into the conversation in the next hour. Simba, something is coming up shortly.
Pretty much. Now we take a short break right here. Once we come back, we'll be pretty much going to the news desk. See exactly the big stories that you're waking up to this morning. Yeah.
Yes.
To this man, mimi ndio niko hapa, ndio nienda kushughulika na mambo ya o jamaa alinyang'anya jina bwana. Anafaa hukumiwe.
Walionyang'anywa na nani?
Alininyang'anya. Took my name. That's a family name. Yeah.
Do you need this or can I use it for research?
Tuko sawa. Edu is fine. Let me just take that one. Yeah. Okay. Tess, what's up? I'm okay. Ndakuwa tu sawa hivi. Welcome back. Azimio la Umoja Wana Kenya Coalition Party leader Raila Odinga has said the legal battle to challenge the presidential results of the August 9th election will kick off Monday today. Speaking at GTM Church in Durham, Nairobi, during a church service, Odinga, accompanied with his running mate and other Azimio leaders, stated that he has sufficient evidence to prove that the election was manipulated. Shadrach Kareria with that story.
Azimio One Kenya flag bearer Raila Odinga and the coalition leaders attended a church service at Jesus Teaching Ministry at Durham, Nairobi County. Odinga reiterated that his team is equipped with enough evidence, stating that the legal battle will kick off tomorrow on Monday.
And truth is going to be known because we already know it ourselves, and we are going to show it wide and open starting tomorrow.
Odinga stated that he will only wait for the Supreme Court judgment, stating that he won't give in into any other form of consolidation.
That without truth, there can be no justice. Without justice, there can be no peace. Without peace, there can be no reconciliation.
Without justice, there can be no lasting peace.
Odinga said he is sure that the voice of Kenyans on the ballot on the 9th August will be heard.
There's no doubt in our minds that the Kenyan people spoke loudly on the 9th of August that the victory of the people of Kenya will not be stolen away.
The Azimio politicians accuse the IEBC of discriminating them politically by postponing gubernatorial election for Mombasa and Kakamega County, as well as several other constituencies.
Maono yangu wakajua ikifanyika Mombasa na Kakamega zitaenda Azimio. Leo hii tungekuwa tunajigamba tuko na governors 24, lakini wawili ni suspended sababu elections bado zinakalishwa, ndivyo base ianze kutoka. Lakini twauliza uwepo wa Mungu, base yetu itakaa nazi hata muweke siku ngapi?
That this general election is not over. I've never seen a situation where the body charged with the responsibility of conducting a general election ends up shortchanging the whole country. So, as far as I'm concerned, these matters may be canvassed elsewhere in the Supreme Court. It is arguable that no general election has taken place.
The Azimio politicians challenged the purported swearing in of the Member of Parliament, stating that it's illegal to swear them in as 4 constituencies are yet to elect their representatives.
Huwezi ukatarajia wabunge wataapishwa ikiwa iko sehemu ya Kenya umezuilia kupata mjumbe.
It is now clear that Azimio One Kenya politicians ends to Supreme Court on Monday to challenge the victory of William Ruto was declared as the president-elect by the IEBC. Reporting for Lookup TV from Jesus Teaching Ministry in Durham, Nairobi County, my name is Shadrach Kareria.
Keep tabs on that particular petition that we do expect then to be launched today at the Supreme Court of Kenya, and give you all the details of how and when we shall get them. Now, President-elect William Ruto and the Kenya Kwanza contingent attended a Thanksgiving church service at PCA, Githuini, Kiambu County. This being the first Sunday post the presidential pronouncement, Ruto and his team gave thanks for their success and commended Kenyans for observing a peace pre- and post-election. Ruto further assured Kiambu residents that he will complete all the stalled government projects once he assumes office. Moses with that story.
Just a week after the presidential results announcement by IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati, The Kenya Kwanza coalition attended a church service at PCEA Gathoroini in Kiambu County, giving thanks for what he calls a move that reflects Kenya's exit from politics of ethnicity.
Asanteni sana kwa kunipa nafasi niwe mmoja wenu na kuniunga mkono ili tuweze kutengeneza Kenya yenye haina mipaka ya ukabila.
While addressing the congregation, Ruto applauded Kenyans for exercising their democratic right in a peaceful and mature way during the August polls, terming them heroes in the 2022 elections.
Mashujaa wa uchaguzi huu ni wa Kenya walioenda kupiga kura kwa amani. The true heroes of this election are the millions of Kenyans who woke up early and voted peacefully.
Ruto largely appreciated the people of Mount Kenya region, acknowledging the significant number of votes Kenya Kwanza garnered from Kiambu County.
Wakenya wote wametuonyesha ya kwamba hawataki tena Kenya ya kupiganishwa. Kama hii serikali ingekuwa inagawa kwa hisa ama shares ya watu wa Kiambu ndio namba moja.
Deputy President-elect Rigathi Gachagua has promised loyalty and respect in their way of governance.
Ile heshima mumepatia jamii ya Mlima Kenya ya kwamba sisi si walagai, sisi si waongo, sisi si conmen na fraudsters, sisi ni wangwana na ni Wakristo na ni watu ya kuweka ahadi. Watu wangu wa Mlima, asanteni, asanteni, asanteni sana.
It is a service that saw members of the coalition including Kiambu Governor-elect Kimani Omotangi and Nairobi Governor-elect Johnson Sakaja praising the strides taken.
Sisi tutaenda sambamba mguu kwa mguu, step by step na rais wetu mteule William Samoei Ruto.
Ile inatupatia furaha ni kujua ya kwamba leo hii tunatembea na vichwa zetu zikiwa juu kwa sababu tumekataa njia za shetani.
Ile tu tunaomba ni ile hustler fund ulituambia ifikie hawa watu.
Walitokea maneno mengi, sisi tunajua ni kwa sababu ya Mungu. Sio kwa majeshi wala silaha, ni kwa Roho Mtakatifu.
Ruto's further promised to serve all Kenyans equally in his government.
Hakikishie ya kwamba hakuna sehemu ya Kenya ambayo itawachwa nyuma katika uongozi wa serikali ya taifa letu la Kenya.
It is the coalition's prayer that God will intervene ahead of the Supreme Court petition.
Bwana akaona haja ya kurejea kanisani.
Moses Okech, Look Up TV.
A declaration by the IEBC chair, Bafula Chebukati, that declared Deputy President Ruto, President-elect, has been disputed by other political factions. There's Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition, led by the coalition's flag bearer, Raila Odinga. The Azimio teams says that the election was marred by massive irregularities in disregard to the constitution, threatening to move to the Supreme Court to seek legal redress. The team, represented by a contingent of lawyers, is set to file the petition Monday.
The Supreme Court battle has already been set in motion, led by the Azimio flag bearer and self-proclaimed champion of democracy, Raila Odinga. Odinga, who is disputing the August 9th general elections, is moving to the Apex Court to seek justice to what he terms as a sham process that disregards the rule of law and democracy. According to Odinga, his team will file at the Supreme Court documents and material evidence aimed at convincing the 7-judge bench that the Electoral Commission was involved in a series of fraudulent manipulation aimed at denying him the win in the August 9th general elections. The Supreme Court judges expected to listen to the case are President of the Supreme Court, Lady Justice Martha Koome, Lady Justice Philomena Mbetemwilu, Justice Mohamed Kadar Ibrahim, Justice Dr. Smokin Wanjala, Lady Justice Njoki Susanna Ndungu, and Justice Isaac Lenaola. The Azimio team, armed to the teeth, has a team of lawyers comprising of senior counsels Feroz Norji, Philip Mulgor, James Orengo and Amos Wako. Supporting the senior counsels will be seasoned legal minds Professor Tom Ojienda, Daniel Maanzo, Otiende Amolo and Mutula Kilonzo Jr., while another team led by constitutional lawyer Paul Mwangi will be responsible for compiling data that will form part of the evidence. The evidence and submission have one agenda: to convince the judges that the DP Ruto's declaration was not valid. The team looks at tabling a damning audit report that highlighted that rogue IBC employees had manipulated login credentials to manipulate the voter register that included transferring polling stations without oversight. The report exposed major security loopholes in the 2022 voter register, revealing that there were 14 mysterious returning officers who had been running the IBC Integrated Database Management System, IDMS. The report unearthed weak password systems and login details of ghost electoral officials. Pointing to the possibility of hackers accessing the database, the report revealed existence of 10 users named Embakasi South Clerks. Additionally, there were 11 active generic accounts on the automated biometric system and another 2 ABIS users with the same login identification. Further scrutiny of the register revealed that the RO user accounts in IDMS were not allocated to the named users. Readying themselves for the legal showdown starting this coming week, the Kenya Kwanza team has assembled a team led by President Uhuru Kenyatta's former lawyer Fred Ngatia and senior counsel Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi. Other lawyers in the team include Adrian Kamodho, Elias Mutuma, Collins Kiprono and Emmanuel Kibat. The IBC team comprises of former Attorney General Professor Githu Muigai, who will be working with lawyers Kamau Karori, Abdikadir Mohamed, Eric Gumbo, Wambua Kilonzo, Peter Wanyama, George Murugu, Mahat Somani, Cyprian Wekesa and Edwin Mukele. As the petition deadline fast approaches, the Azimio team intends to table evidence showing that an irreparable split within the commission made it impossible to procedurally verify tallying and publicly announce results, which they argue would have shown a different outcome from what Chebukati pronounced on Monday. Some of the issues that the lawyers seek to point out include: the lawyers will cite an abnormal turnout of voters in some parts of the country in favor of the Kenya Kwanza alliance, suspect application of electronic devices used in voter registration and voting, and irregularities and discrepancies in the final results. The Electoral Commission's decision to grant universal access to Form 34A, B and C in the online portal, which they say opened a window for manipulation of the documents. They also seek to provide evidence that tallying was not fully completed at the time the chair Wafula Chebukati declared President-elect William Ruto as the winner of the poll, since the results of 28 constituencies were not verified. The commission, however, was hit by a fallout that pitted 4 commissioners against 3, making it dysfunctional in the hours leading to the announcement of the poll results. The petition claims that the final tally announced by Chebukati is invalid since the commission never sat to verify and consider spoilt votes. The group, led by Vice Chairperson Juliana Cherera, walked out of the Bomas of Kenya to announce their disassociation with the final results at the Serena Hotel. They cited opaqueness in the process. The IBC team is preparing for a bruising battle, since the nullification of the results will give Chebukati the dubious record of having bungled 2 presidential elections in a row after the 2017 one was nullified. Brian Amwai, Look Up TV, Nairobi.
Brian Amwai. All eyes are now on the Supreme Court, where the Azimio la Umoja coalition flag bearer Raila Amolo Odinga is set to file a petition following the presidential results pronouncement by IEBC chair Wafula Chebukati. In today's segment of Your Opinion on Matters, Kenyans give their take on the court battle that lies ahead.
And in today's segment of Your Opinion Matters, we ask Kenyans what is one message they have to their fellow Kenyans as Azimio heads to court.
Tutajua ukweli na mwelekeo yenye tutaambiwa na kotini ndio tunafuata. Na chenye tunaahidi wananchi kwamba amani itakuwa na tutaendelea kuwa na amani, hakuna vita yoyote. Ni ukweli tu tutajua kutokana na ile uamuzi koti italeta kwa wananchi.
Vile amesema tudumisha amani na tuwe watulivu, kwa sababu mkondo wa sheria utafuata mkondo wake. Wananchi waweze kuwa watulivu, kwa sababu kesho wataenda kupeana malalamishi yao katika ile inaitwa Supreme Court. Na baada ya hapo ndipo tutajua mwelekeo ya nchi yetu inaelekea wapi.
Kama watafuatilia waone namna gani sisi tuko na amani, tunatulia, tungoje koti itasema nini, nchi iendelee mbele.
Sisi kama wana youth tunachokihitaji ni tu amani. Tunataka amani. Tunajua pia kwamba wakienda mahakamani, the fact remains that Ruto won the elections, unaona? Yeah.
And those were some of the opinions of Kenyans in Your Opinion Matters, which comes to you every day on Look Up TV.
Bella Basson. Now, church leaders in Eldoret have called on all Kenyans to continue with their activities and lives in their normal way and not allow politics to disrupt them, even as they wait for the decision that will be made by the Supreme Court judges over the presidential election petition by the Azimio la Umoja Wana Kenya Alliance.
There can never be two leaders on the same seat. There must only be one leader. People's lives must continue. Elections was a one-day affair. It should not be a whole year affair. Because once it's decided and concluded, we must allow the dust to settle. Because in every contest, there must be a winner. There can never be two winners. Actually, I support the fact that one winner must win and the loser must accept as a loser, because there can never be two winners. There can be two husbands. Let the dust settle in this country. Let us not have high blood pressure of expectations and an anemia of dust flaring up. Let us allow the dust to settle in this country. Don't talk politics when you wake up, politics when you eat, politics when you sleep, politics when you go to church, politics when you leave to church from church. Let the dust settle. Bishops in this country, hear me. Let the dust settle. Now that God has given me the platform, tribes in this country, let the dust settle.
The 2022 general elections had a number of surprise winners, little-known candidates, or bit long-serving incumbents. It was all smiles for a sand miner, Ankey Dorice, who beat a veteran politician to become MCA-elect. My award. Bellamy Boson with the details.
Kiage of the UDA party is one of the cases of little-known politicians who've gone ahead to beat bigwigs in the August 9th polls. Eliud Chege, who is a sand miner, is the MCA-elect of Mai ward, who managed to beat veteran politician Stephen Nyathe, who is defending his seat on a Jubilee ticket.
Mimi nimekuwa katika sekta ya wachimbaji mchanga kuanzia mwaka wa 2013 mpaka juzi, wakati tulipofika wakati ya kwamba siasa zimefika na tukaona zile shida tunapitia, tukaona ni vizuri ya kwamba sisi kama watu wa mchanga, kwa sababu watu wa media najua mara mingi mmetuona na tumechukuliwa Mai, barabara zimefungwa wakililia haki zao, na wakati ikafika tukasema ya kwamba imefika mwisho na tutakaa tena kama hatuko kwa serikali, ati haki yetu tutaiona tu wakati tutaandamana kwa barabara. Na ndipo tukashikana sote na hawa watu wote wa mchanga, na nikawaomba ya kwamba wanishikilie ndio niweze kuwakilisha katika ward yetu ya Mai pale Nakuru, na hapo ndipo tuko.
Chege joined sand mining business in 2013. He said the move to join politics was influenced by his colleagues who believed he would be a defender of their rights.
Hali yangu ya kuwa MCA imeanzia tu wakati kuna siku kumekuwa na tumefungua mahali tunachota mchanga, na vijana wengi wakaandamana sana na walipigwa na polisi, wengine wakauliwa na wengine wakabaki na majeraha kubwa. Hakuna mkono yote ya serikali tuone ya kutusaidia. Na nilipokaa na wao chini nikawaambia imefika mwisho na hakuna siku nyingine tutaandamana kwa barabara tukitafuta haki yetu. Ndipo tukaongea kwa pamoja, tukakubaliana ya kwamba mimi nitasimama, ndio niyo ninawakilisha ya kwamba hakuna siku nyingine watatokea kwa barabara kwa shida. Kwa hivyo safari yetu ya siasa imeanza tu kutokana na shida zetu, kutosikilizwa, na ndipo niliposema nitasimama, wote wamenishika kwa mikono miwili, wakaniunga mkono kwa mioyo yao yote, na tukafanya sote tukua pamoja.
Bellamy Boson, Look Up TV.
Kigera Maichuye, a hawker in Matungulu, Machakos County, is seeking justice to get ownership of 2 plots of land he bought from Mwanzo Properties Limited. Kigera claims after years of toiling, he purchased the land, but the company is yet to grant him his rightful property. Mudai Ndalana with this and other stories in our county roundup.
It has been more than 10 years in pursuit for justice for Hoka Kigera Machuye, who claims he bought 2 plots of land from Mwanzo Management Properties.
Kununua kwa Mwanzo Property
Kuponi inaitwa Mwanzo Property. Wakati nilianza kununua hiyo plot, mwenyewe akawa na shida. Kwa sababu hiyo plot alienda akakuta hiyo plot iko na mtu mwingine ako na title. Akaniambia hiyo maneno atasolve.
Upon completion of his payment, the family-owned company issued him a certificate of ownership that he now uses as evidence of ownership. When the company ownership changed, the family denied him access to his properties, and now efforts to acquire his properties have proved futile. Kigera is now calling on authorities to come to his aid.
Nikaa na shida kwa sababu waliniambia ningoje. Wananiambia ningoje mpaka wa leo. Sijaipata kitu. Sasa mimi nadai haki yangu. Kila kitu nilikuwa nimemaliza kulipa. Kila muda kulipa nilikuwa nikipata pesa. Wakati nalipa pesa nilalipa ananipatia maresiti. Documents ziko hapa ndio hizi. Wakati nililipa ili alinipatia certificate pia iko hapa.
Elsewhere in Embu, police have launched investigations into the death of a middle-aged woman whose body was found hanging. The deceased Nancy is said to have allegedly committed suicide by hanging in her rented house.
Nancy murata wakwa muno akira nyitwire kieva ni kwigwa ati akorwa nyomba imwe studio na nevo ni akite wikira wira mone ati ndika esuria na tumwe wa Jumaine twae nake na twathi na ngari imwe kiathi wira anethie bukirimari shughuli ciakwa ndu na gwa thina muno ni akire ni wikira wira niguo na nsire mwe studio na ni mainge na studio na niguo
According to the neighbors, Nancy is said to have had an altercation with her husband the previous night.
Hatujui sababu because tayari kila mmoja anapojitia kitanzi, serikali na ofisi ya DCI huchukua nafasi huo kwenda kuanza kufanya uchunguzi kutoka kwa jamii ili waweze kujua ni nia gani walikuwa nayo, ni chanzo gani inaweza kuwa ilisababisha watu waweze kuchukua maisha yao katika njia ya hali hiyo. Na ijapokuwa watu wanaweza kuwa na sababu mbalimbali, isiwe sababu moja ya wewe kuchukua hatua ni kwa sababu ya stress na labda unakosa kwenda kuwaeleza, labda inaweza kuwa ni domestic matters, mambo ya vurugu vya kinyumbani, iwe labda ni maneno ambayo ungeweza kushare ama ungeweza kusaidia wananchi wengine, ungeweza kuleta kwa ofisi zetu ili tushauriane, maana shida haiwezi kutatuliwa na kwa kujitia kitanzi.
Nancy's death makes the third reported suicide case in Embu on the month of August. Residents have been urged to speak up more to avoid drowning in miseries. Mudeundalana, Look Up TV.
Now, even as we wait for the Supreme Court to make a ruling on the impending petition of the 9th August general election by the Azimio coalition, we do have a president-elect already waiting to assume office. Louis Otieno had a conversation with an advocate of the High Court on exactly what awaits Ruto should he take over government after the ruling of the election petition. Let's take a look at that conversation.
Welcome back. Time for discussion now. It's just about elections. Let's see if we can make progress tonight. I'm happy to be joined by Shadrach Ompoi. Shadrach, you're an advocate of the High Court. This is now revolving around advocates and judges and the High Court, and yet we voted. Wasn't that enough?
Well, Louis, thank you for having me, and good evening to our viewers and listeners at home. I mean, we chose to ourselves a constitutional democracy so that it is not just enough that we voted. In the constitutional design, we have even courts, so that courts are sometimes invited to question whether what we think we did was right or wrong. So really it is part of the democratic process to verify whether the declaration that was made by Chair Chebukati, Wafula Wanyonyi, Wafula, is proper in law. So it is just but a process. You just need to trust the process. And in the fullness of time, we hope against hope that we will have a president who will take over, the powers and the instruments of power from President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
This patience is a bit stretched now because we were under the understanding take your vote, go and do right by your country, and it will be enough. And here we are looking at another month or even more of politicking again.
Yes. You see, Louis, it is important that sometimes we remind Kenyans of what they did on the 27th day of August 2010. They passed to themselves a constitution. So the constitutional, you know, when you read keenly the spirit and the letter of the constitution is that even after the declaration of the president, one has 7 days to either complain to the Supreme Court if at all there is any query that he wishes to raise. So thereafter, after a challenge has been posed to the Supreme Court within the 7 days, the Supreme Court then has 14 days to listen, at some of the questions that will be raised before it, and then make a determination within 14 days. Then if the Supreme Court makes the determination that, well, we do not find any merit in the petition that has been filed before us, challenging the declaration by the IEBC chair of the presidential elections, then within 7 days you will have a swearing in of the next president. Now, if the court finds that there is merit into the petition, as the court did in the year 2017, then the IEBC will have to redo the election within 60 days. But now you need also to understand that there is also chance that a petition might not be filed within the 7 days that have been stipulated in law. So that if the petition is not filed within the 7 days, then the law requires that within the 14th day or within 14 days after the declaration by the IBC chair has been made, then the assumption of the president's office committee or the committee itself that sets to stage or rather prepares for the assumption of a new president to come to the office, they will do their role or their responsibility. The Chief Justice or the deputy, the registrar of the judiciary will swear in the president, and then we'll move on. But now we cannot move on until some of these queries have been settled. Remember, it is also a question of legitimacy. You want to be assured that if you have lost fairly. And if you have won, you also want the surety that your win is proper. In any event, it was not challenged, or if it was challenged, then the courts threw it out.
Now, you raised something very important. See, those are very important details you're raising.
Yes.
What happened in terms of, in your opinion, in terms of civic education, in terms of enlightening Kenyans, as you're saying, these are things they need to know. Because right now, emotions are just being whipped up by politicians in obscurity of these facts. What can we do to help in civic education of this?
Yes, well, Louis, to be very honest, only a few of us have got an opportunity to go to school, study, and even probably to study law, so that we understand some of these writings in the Constitution. Most of us ignorantly helped in the passing or the birthing of the new Constitution, or the Constitution that we enjoy right now. So to be fair, I think you have a point. You make some point and some sense to the extent that there is need for civic education. You'll recall that the 7 days or the period after the 9th day of August 2022, when we were waiting for the declaration of the presidential elections, Kenyans were a little bit uneasy. People were on tenterhooks. They had, people were very anxious to get these results almost immediately. Little did most of them know that the law requires that the IBC chair has 7 days to make that declaration. And as we saw, the chair made the declaration within 6 days. And of course, you are well aware of the divide between the commissions. But by and large, I think you make the good point that it is important that we enlighten Kenyans. Kenyans should know that even this long wait, I have seen even from the news items that you have read this evening to the members of the public, that of course there are some contestations, there are some discomforts from the members of the public with the long wait. People want the new president. Now, if it is William Samoei Ruto who has won, then he should be given. But I mean, we need to be reminded that what we decided to give to ourselves is a constitutional democracy, and we need to obey and respect some timelines so that people also heal, people get sureties, as I have said previously, that if you lose, you've lost fairly, if you've won fairly, so that if someone, if Baba needs to retire to go back to Bondo or whichever place that he needs to retire and go back to, then he goes there happily. He does not have, you know, some unanswered questions, you know, what you call a closure. He has a closure that he lost. And William Samoei Ruto, the president-elect, will also have a closure that he won.
Well, while that is happening, there's an in-between period, which is still in play. Let's look at president-elect. What do you think he's doing right now? Because he can't just sit at home and say, okay, let's wait.
Yes, yes. I think the president-elect, Honorable His Excellency, you know, William Samoei Ruto, you've seen him quite busy. You know, today he had a meeting with the U.S. delegates. He also had a meeting with members of the UDM. Some of the members of the UDM actually decamped from the Azimio, One Kenya Alliance. So really what the DP or the president-elect is doing is just but putting his house in order, hoping against hope that, you know, the declaration that he's the president-elect will be confirmed either by the courts or, you know, that in the fullness of time, he will become the president of the Republic of Kenya. He knows too well from where he sits, and you can even see that his meetings are actually being held at the deputy president's office. So this is just but an indication that he is still occupying the deputy president's office in as much as he's been declared the president-elect. So to speak is that there is one, the recognition that he's not the president of the Republic of Kenya. He is only but a president-elect as declared by the chair, you know, Chebukati. And secondly, he is just but consolidating power. If you have tried to, you know, understand the dynamics of the election that we had, we have a number of MPs who are aligned to the Kenya Kwanza Alliance. We have quite a number of MPs who are aligned to the Azimio One Kenya coalition. So really, everybody who is politically very conscious must be looking forward to the debates in Parliament. How are the voting patterns going to be in Parliament when motions are floated on the floor of the House?
Now that you mentioned Parliament, I'm sure you've had a look. You've seen the members who are now expected to sit. There have been discussions about the quality of the Parliament that is sitting, the quality of discussions and debates, the quality of discourse. What is your view?
Well, Louis, I think it's a wait and see. You know, the English people, I am not very good at them or English. But I've heard,
start with the other Parliament.
Yes, I have heard them say that time will tell. So that if we give ourselves time, then probably, you know, they get aids, they get assistance. So we are hoping that even with their inadequacies, some of them, because not all of them are well informed with the legislative process. Really, we're not going to Parliament to dish out handouts. No, we are going to Parliament to discuss legislations. We are going to Parliament to ensure that we have quality debates, that some of the debates speak to the hearts of the common mwananchi. And, well, with their inadequacies and the assistance that they will get from the assistance that they will get, then we are hoping that they will improve on areas that they are inadequate.
So it clearly shows that it's not just Mwananchi who needs some level of education and awareness. Parliament needs help.
Yes, Parliament needs help. I mean, you see, the work of the members of Parliament, as it had been confirmed by the Supreme Court. You know, the Supreme Court just the other day declared the CDF Act as unconstitutional.
And that's going to be a challenge.
Yes, so it essentially means that they cannot participate in development agendas. Their role, as far as development is concerned, is legislation and oversight. So that they should be keen on passing laws and ensuring that the government of the day does what it's supposed to do. Now, most of these people we have elected in the Bunge are not very good legislators. I mean, if you look at their academic backgrounds, most of them, number one, we removed the qualification that they need to possess a degree requirement. So most of them do not even have degrees. So really, even the quality of what you will be seeing is something that, of course, does not, you know, leave a very good taste in the mouth. But we are hoping, you know, it's a question of hope. It's a question of hope that they will live to their expectations, so that people who elected them into office will not feel disappointed. We'll see them speak. You know, we had, in the previous Parliament, we had members of Parliament who had not even spoken a word even saying hi. They did not say, even in parliament, they just kept mum.
They did not know what to say.
Yes.
I don't think it's going to get any better now.
Well,
let me take you somewhere else.
Yes.
There's been an argument that one of, Kenya Kwanza,
yes,
they have leadership that is actually the single voice we will hear. And some have argued Azimio is like a Tower of Babel, because the people who were in there, there's too many voices. What do you think of that conglomeration?
Well, there are, some of these leaders that we see in parliament, you see in the executive, you also see in the judiciary. These people are not strangers to us. These are people who probably we went to the same schools with, we grew up together. We know, we have been seeing them in public office, and we know some of their attributes and traits. So really, when you hear that, when you look at, the composition of the Azimio One Kenya Alliance, and you also look at the composition of the Kenya Kwanza, your conclusions might not be very far from the truth, because some of your conclusions might actually be informed by the interactions that you have had, the history that these people have had in the Kenyan, governance. So really, there is a sense in which people will be correct to say that if you look at the Azimio One Kenya Alliance, there are people who are known to be very noisy, and sometimes the quality of what sometimes most of them say might be put to question. But be that as it may, there is also a sense in which when you look at Kenya, the Azimio One Kenya Alliance, there are senior councils there. We have, senior counsel Martha Karua, we have senior counsel Kalonzo Musyoka Daktari. Yes, and a number of lawyers who are there, the Kajwangs. We have quite a number. And the hope that some of us might have is, when some of these people interact with some of these senior lawyers or some of these educated individuals, then they might borrow a leaf or two. And they might be polished in the long run, because the interaction is quite very important.
That's a professional hope.
Yes, even
and professionals are not the majority of voters. How will they relate to voters? Voters don't know about a senior council. They know this is a leader, and they probably are not comfortable with that kind of partnership. They're thinking everybody here has a voice.
Yes, the inference I make on the interactions is the interaction between the leaders. So that we acknowledge. Now, there has been jurisprudence in this country that we have removed academic qualifications from some of our leaders. I mean that we are in agreement to that extent. Then we acknowledge that when you look at the composition of Azimio and even Kenya Kwanza, we have, to a larger extent, we have a portion of individuals who are well educated. And then we have another portion that is not well educated or well informed, but probably they were even more popular than you and I on the ground.
With a high synergy.
Yes, at least the numbers tell us that they were more popular. So the hope or the liking I'm making comparison to is that some of these leaders who are inadequate on some areas, with their interaction with the leaders who have at least some sufficient educational background in probably legislation and other things, then we are hoping that they are going to be influenced properly so that they can represent their people well. So the interaction between the leaders is what I am hoping is going to at least help the Mwananchi moving forward, because the laws that we have do not allow them to only have among the people they are choosing people who are well educated. So they choose from, every hoi polloi, everybody, the basket where they have to choose their leaders from is just full of all individuals. Even on the other side, the Kenya Kwanza, we have the Professor Kindikis, we have quite a number of even Dr. Ndis on that other side. So we are hoping that they are going to learn some few things about economy, some few things about legislations here and there. And from that interaction, then they can help their people. We are also hoping that they will also take this time, because they have 5 years, to return back to school. There are professional courses that people can take so that they can grow.
No, that is a hope beyond. Nobody is going back to school. These people are in government, they are leading. That one I will refuse. But I will hope that they will invite you to speak to them and say this to them, because it will help them. Tell me about civil servants. They've been missing. People have not been able to get services. People have not been able to even renew passports, get identification, because these people are missing. They've been called upon to remain professional. You see this happening?
Well, I think the reason why some of these professionals have been missing in the picture or in the limelight or, you know, at their places of work is largely due to their involvement in politics. You remember there was some discomfort from the Kenya Kwanza coalition that some of the public officers, you mentioned chiefs, you mentioned DOs, you mentioned even the cabinet secretaries, were actively involved in the politics that have led to, you know, the president-elect and, you know, some of these individuals having been elected in office. And yesterday, I recall I heard the president-elect, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, making mention that, you know, some people who are involved, or these public officers or civil servants that were involved during that political season in politics, should get the assurance that their jobs are safeguarded. And secondly, there was a warning that moving forward, they should not participate in active politics. I think that call is a good call.
So there's a stick and a carrot.
Yes. So that if you interrogate the Public Officers Ethics Act, there is a decree in law that requires public officers to exercise some level of neutrality in the politics. So that one would wonder or ask himself, now, where is Dr. Matiang'i? I mean, where is Fred Matiang'i as we speak? He's been mum all through, even with the meetings of, you know, these high-level officers in charge of security of this country. He was MIA. He was missing in action. You could not see him. And this is largely due to his previous involvement into politics. The exchanges that he was having. He was busy. Between himself and the deputy president. I think, you know, this is just but a reminder that moving forward, it is important that public officers and civil servants focus on their work. They are serving everybody in this country.
But those are not the target, because those in the positions they're in, they are going to move away with their exiting administration. Our challenge is those ones who are still in offices where we will not see a change. They do not change with an administration. These are people, these are officers who facilitate daily interaction. You want to get an ID, you want to get a passport renewed, you want to get registration of your business, you want to get identification of your land, stuff like that. How do we reach these people? Because even they have been missing.
Well, they could probably, and this I say quite ignorantly, I say probably they have been missing post the election of the 9th day of August. And the reasons could be quite very obvious. Remember, we are a country that is living in fear of our past. So that if you recall the events of the year 2007 and what happened post the elections of the year 2007, then the aftermath of those elections sometimes haunt us as a country and as individuals, because we also suffered. I suffered the post-election violence of the year 2007. Now, people get to, you know, get their guards up. People want to exercise some level of caution in terms of even movement. We have quite a number of us, and I was meeting some individuals elsewhere, and when I asked where X and Y is, I was told that they chose to go home for this period of time so that they can, you know, wait and see what is going to happen. So really, because of the history that we have as a country, this will tell why most, if not all of us, have been very slow to returning to work. I think it is only today that we had traffic jam. For the past like 5 or 7 days, actually, we did not have traffic jam in the city.
Well, that I didn't miss. I wish there would be a way in peacetime that we could have this kind of movement. Well, we're talking about civil servants going back to work. We're talking about processes coming back into play, and we're saying, all right, this was the election period. What will help? You've actually articulated that we need the patience to understand this is a process. See it through. It is a process, it will end. Will this help in eliminating this spirit we have so highly of self-preservation because of the fears of our past?
Well, we need to recognize that, I mean, I've mentioned it before, that we have processes. And these processes are constitutional. So that if you are uncomfortable about the processes, And remember, there has been also a call previously that there needs to be an extension of the timelines, that presidential petitions are heard and determined, so that many manifesto writers and speakers have said that the 14 days provided in the Constitution are not even sufficient to handle disputes of that magnitudes. But you see, we need to recognize that even while you might be uncomfortable about these timelines, then there is a process that is set in law for constitutional amendments or changes. Because some of these laws, even while they are there are avenues in law to have them amended. And it remains a question of a wait and see, whether Kenyans will ultimately think that there is a need to change some of these timelines so that the uneasiness that they feel can be put to flight. So really, that is how I want to look at it. But for now, we will have to endure the timelines and the processes. Remember, election petitions are just but unique. And the law, as we know of it, has gone to an extent of, setting timelines, very strict timelines.
Listening to you, I didn't get the sense that one of the mistakes we made as Kenyans was to mark 2010 as just an event in the calendar and not taking time to understand this is a reference point going forward.
Yes, I think so. And Louis, one thing you will recall is that people were saying, if Baba has read, then I have no business reading. So I'm just but okay. And we had also some people, and remember even the deputy president then led the campaign, the no campaign. He was anti the constitution that we have right now. And there are people who believed that if Dr. William Ruto then had read and was not comfortable with this constitution, and even the church was not comfortable with this constitution, then there is no need for me to read it. I will just vote a no. So really, moving forward, this is just but a call to Kenyans that even while they believe, and they should believe their leaders, which is a good thing, it's a show of confidence, that they have confidence in you, Louis, so that everything that you say, you lead, and then they will follow. But moving forward, it is important, just like some, there has been reference to the Bible of people who, even after they have been read the Bible, they want also to read the Bible so that they can also understand whether what has been read is indeed what is written. So moving forward, it is important that Kenyans understand that when we are passing laws, when we are debating laws in Parliament, because currently there is Article 10 of the Kenyan Constitution requires that there is public participation. So even Mwananchi, in as much as we have delegated our sovereignty to the Parliament, legislature, the judiciary, and the executive, we are called also upon to participate meaningfully in the process that leads to the formation of laws and the passing of policies. So we need to first read and understand.
Shadrach, what would you say in closing, now that people are understanding and listening to you and saying process is important, but in your closing remarks, what would you tell Kenyans?
Well, my call to Kenyans will be, one, we need to first exercise some level of patience. The process that we are seeing right now, which will lead to the confirmation of the president-elect to a president or another election if the court so finds fit. It's a constitutional process. We need to be very patient. Let us be patient and promote and be champions of peace. I think that is as much I can say this evening. Thank you.
I will definitely be talking to you some more. I know that we have another continuity coming up or not. We'll need to discuss it. Thank you for coming, Shadrach.
Awesome.
Thank you for watching Look Up TV. Have a good night.
Well, that is exactly what we have for you in as much as our newsroom headlines are concerned. Now remember, the headlines around the country today is the impending petition by the Azimio coalition. That is a challenge against the 9th August election. We do expect that those proceedings will be coming to you from the Supreme Court. What we're going to do is just keep a tabs on that. And then after that, we shall be keeping a tabs on that and giving you the details. Also, on the other side of the studio, as we take this break, Ankey Dorice then is getting ready to give you a clear picture of what to expect expect in this petition? By the way, if you do remember, it's not the very, very first one challenging the election, because we were here again in 2017. What is different this time around, and what do we expect from the Supreme Court, especially at a time when we have a very strange scenario at the IEBC, since we do know a section of the commission has already defecting from the result that was just released by the IEBC chair, Simba Kiage. We'll take a short break, but once we come back, Ankey Dorice on back takes over, but all the way to 2 p.m. I'll be back again for Look at Business, so do not step any further from your screen.
Looking far away from where? Okay.
Yeah. So. Oh yeah.
Well, this is the Morning Drift. Good morning. Thank you very much for choosing us for these very important conversations. Quite a day in this country, as Azimio presidential candidate Raila Odinga has already announced he will be moving to the Supreme Court to challenge the declaration of William Ruto as the president-elect. The Apex Court 2 weeks ago released timelines for filing and hearing presidential petitions, and in a notice that I will read shortly, Chief Justice Martha Koome indicated that any election petition should be filed within 7 days, as is constitutional, from the date the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission will declare the results. Now, if I just read that notice, the Supreme Court of Kenya is established under Article 163 of the Constitution and is at the apex of the judiciary with the final authority in arbitration of disputes. Judicial authority is derived from the people and exercised in accordance with the cardinal principles spelled out in Article 159 of the Constitution. And one of the key principles of administration of justice is that justice shall not be delayed. That's according to the notice. Now, even as I prepare to bring in the advocate of the High Court in Kenya, the High Court of Kenya this very minute to, of course, help us understand the legal perspective this morning. Unlike the previous presidential election petitions, the Apex Court departed from its tradition of hearing the petition from the Supreme Court building in Nairobi Central Business District. Shortly, we tell you where exactly the venue has been moved to. But of course, joining me this morning, thank you very much, Advocate, for joining us. And of course, a lot of people would say, Omayo.
Thank you, Dorice. It's a pleasure getting the opportunity to actually speak to Kenyans and expound on what is happening with a lot of legal drama. So I want to believe that in the next few minutes we're going to put that into perspective.
And I like that you say in the next few minutes, because even as we're speaking within the same hour, it's exactly 12 minutes into the hour, it's 10:12 a.m. I have information coming in that we have a bit of parading, in the central bit, in the district, and we need to understand what then it means right now for, especially Nairobi, why the venue is changing as well. But before we do that, let's talk about the timelines. Why today is the D-Day for the Azimio to actually then proceed with this petition? 7 days, we say.
Very well, Doris. Firstly, we need to, that finds its premise on the Constitution, that's at Article 140, whereby there are strict timelines with regard to management of electoral disputes, especially the presidential disputes. Firstly, the IEBC is bound, constitutionally bound to declare a winner within 7 days. Subsequently, anybody who is aggrieved with that declaration is supposed to lodge and file his petition and grievances before the Supreme Court are registered within 7 days. Now, the guidelines you just told our viewers about are also find their place in the Constitution, whereby the Supreme Court was issuing directions on case management and ease of... and remember, people have rights to information on all those procedures. So that is exactly what the Supreme Court was saying, that's Mother Koome, and that today marks the last day. They actually gave the exact time to be 2 p.m., which is why we're seeing the Azimio faction parading the members of parliament so that they can escort the petition to the now changed venue, that's at the Milimani High Court, where the Supreme Court shall be sitting for purpose of this specific election petition.
And I like when you say the Supreme Court shall be sitting. Now, when we talk about the Supreme Court, I know we're looking at a 7-judge bench. Before we get into now the venue and the sitting, because we also want to take a look at the judges that will be sitting for this particular petition, we cannot say we've not seen this before in this country. We have been here before.
We have been here before.
Yeah, and what does this then mean to the legal fraternity? These are 3 arms of government, the executive, judiciary, and the legislative arms of government. And now we're seeing the judiciary meeting the executive again one more time, letting alone the 2017 scenario. But if you want to compare then 2017 and today, is there anything different you have picked, especially from the legal fraternity?
Firstly, we need to go back to the year 2013 when the first presidential petition was filed under the current dispensation.
All right.
Whereby that was the inaugural presidential petition, and it was the first test on how far as Kenyans we've moved in terms of giving credibility to our institutions. Not forgetting that the process of the Supreme Court is part and parcel of the election that Kenyans conducted, because that's how remedies are supposed to be availed to any grievances, so that we don't have street protests and people can be able to have faith in the systems. So moving from 2013, we had a scenario in which in 2013 we had Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga going to that specific petition, the former Prime Minister, going into that, going to the Supreme Court as the then Prime Minister, flanked by the then Vice President. And the outcome, and this now goes to the root of the timelines. People and the petitioners then had not understood the implication of time, such that most of the evidence that was presented to the court in the year 2013 was expunged from the record, such that the court did not have an opportunity to look at the tons of evidence in tracks that had been availed to them. So the only thing that was considered in 2013 was the little evidence that had been placed before court in time. Such that now we yet again saw a presidential election petition in the year 2017.
Exactly.
Whereby Raila Odinga again, together with the Kalonzo Musyoka petition, now under CORD, they petitioned and actually came out with success from that election petition. Ideally, what we'll be seeing is that in 2017, the duo, that's the CORD, or rather the NASA team, were going into that petition as outsiders because they were challenging election of a sitting president and a sitting deputy president.
They were going in for the second term.
Yes, and it's peculiar that as of then you could see, the IEBC being one commission and generating evidence from one corner, unlike what we're seeing right now. Because then the defense of the president and the deputy president-elect then was aimed at in that they were speaking from one side. IEBC was actually giving a clean bill of health to the election that it had already conducted.
Allow me to interject right there, because that's where most of the public then thinks water is held most. We feel that's where the strength is for Azimio. Looking at the split, within the IEBC, what do you take of it? That now we're seeing this particular split within the commission. Does it, give any heavier, evidence or power to the Azimio coalition in this petition?
This, thank you. This really gives far power to the Azimio legal team in that, again, I take us back to 2013. In 2013, they had to go to the High Court first to do an application, a miscellaneous application, so that they can be allowed, so that IEBC can be compelled to give them evidence. Because most of the documents that they'll be relying on, those forms are, it is the commission which is having custody of those documents. We're seeing a different scenario in that now 4 commissioners right before the announcement
they did not take ownership.
They bolted and disowned the whole process. In fact, what is going around that most if not all of those the electoral commissioners are going to be swearing affidavits. Disowning the process and associating themselves with the case of the petitioner. So there are interesting times ahead.
All right, interesting. Let's take a look at a video here of the Azimio coalition coming out to say we are confident and we are moving on with the petition. And then we come back to take a look at then what does this actually leave us as a country. But right now, here is Raila Odinga, who is, of course, the presidential candidate for Azimio, speaking out keenly to say that this is the position we stand.
Azimio One Kenya flag bearer Raila Odinga and the coalition leaders attended a church service at Jesus Teaching Ministry at Donholm, Nairobi County. Odinga reiterated that his team is equipped with enough evidence, stating that the legal battle will kick off tomorrow on Monday.
And truth is going to be known because we already know it ourselves, and we are going to show it wide and open starting tomorrow.
Odinga stated that he will only wait for the Supreme Court judgment, stating that he won't give in into any other form of consolidation.
That without truth, there can be no justice. Without justice, there can be no peace. Without peace, there can be no reconciliation.
Without justice, there can be no lasting peace.
Odinga said he is sure that the voice of Kenyans on the ballot on the 9th August will be heard.
There's no doubt in our minds that the Kenyan people spoke loudly on the 9th of August that the victory of the people of Kenya will not be stolen away.
The Azimio politicians accused the IEBC of discriminating them politically by postponing gubernatorial election for Mombasa and Kakamega County, as well as several other constituencies.
Maono yangu wakajua ikifanyika Mombasa na Kakamega zitaenda Azimio. Leo hii tungekuwa tunajigamba tuko na governors 24, lakini wawili ni suspended sababu elections bado zinakalishwa, ndivyo base ianze kutoka. Lakini twauliza uwepo wa Mungu, base yetu itakaa nazi hata muweke siku ngapi?
That this general election is not over. I've never seen a situation where the body charged with the responsibility of conducting a general election ends up shortchanging the whole country. So, as far as I'm concerned, these matters may be canvassed elsewhere in the Supreme Court. It is arguable that no general election has taken place.
The Azimio politicians challenged the purported swearing in of the Member of Parliament, stating that it's illegal to swear them in as 4 constituencies are yet to elect their representatives.
Huwezi ukatarajia wabunge wataapishwa ikiwa iko sehemu ya Kenya umezuilia kupata mjumbe.
It is now clear that Azimio One Kenya politicians went to Supreme Court on Monday to challenge the victory of William Ruto was declared as the president-elect by the IEBC. Reporting for Look Up TV from Jesus Teaching Ministry in Downham, Nairobi County, my name is Shadrach Kareria.
All right, now there you have it. Yesterday, the Azimio coalition, of course, coming out to say you cannot speak of justice, you cannot speak of peace, in 2 separate statements. If there is peace, then we see justice. If there's justice, then you do expect that there will be eternal peace as well. We've heard from Martha Karua right there. We've seen Raila Odinga as well as, Kalonzo Musyoka coming out to just say justice and peace go hand in hand. And also, Akili, welcome back on set. They have also come out to say these particular elections are not even concluded yet.
Probably for most of our viewers, what in a very, in just one sentence they mean is even if you once you bite something, it is not over.
It's okay to say it in Swahili.
Ukisha uma kitu hadi umeze bado haijakamilika.
You've not eaten.
You've not eaten.
Okay.
Unaweza pokonywa kama iko kwa mdomo bado. They are high stakes, so and I understand I understand that the other team equally from the president-elect and deputy president-elect
Kenya Kwanza,
whose victory is being challenged, are equally not taking this lightly, and this can be seen from even the kind of legal battalion of lawyers they are assembling so that they can face their adversary and fight and protect their win.
All right.
Yes.
Legally, what would you say, though, about the gubernatorial yet to be done elections within Kakamega, Mombasa, and some other 4 regions? As far as the constitution is concerned and the general elections, do you then agree, therefore, that we would say, well, as we await for these particular elections to be done as well, Chabukati and his team are not yet concluding the elections, and we cannot then swear in the president as well?
I tend to think differently on that one. With regard to conduct and conclusion of specific elections for some electoral units, we had a general election in which we had 6 distinct elections.
But you just add, I think the Constitution then allows for the postponement of elections, especially for the situation of Wajir. There was an emergency issue. Yes. Do you think, even as you're answering, that Wafula-led team was right in postponing the elections, the gubernatorial elections in the Kakamega and Mombasa for the reasons of the mistakes and errors seen on the ballot papers?
Firstly, human is to error, and the first instance the commission came out united and when it was postponing that election, and in that, while exercising that administrative action, because they actually have the mandate of postponing elections, if circumstances arise that could otherwise make it not a credible election.
All right.
Remember what they were talking about, the names, mismatching of names, they go to the core. Most of the people want to see the picture of the candidate they are voting for. If you mismatch that and place the name of a candidate X on candidate Y's picture, that is a very good ground of nullifying an election.
Okay.
So it was actually quite well thought for them to have that postponed instead of doing it and being directed again, because they'll have to pay legal fee. It will take judicial time. It is going under the ultimate outcome. Chebukati is a seasoned lawyer of over 36 years in practice.
All right.
So I want to believe that was correct as at that time.
Right.
However, where now it departs from being correct is the point at which the commission further proceeds to suspend those elections indefinitely without now giving an exact date as to when the elections are going now to be held.
All right.
That, in my view, that is now where it goes to prejudice the remember, what is likely to happen is that the timing of when the election is going to happen is really tied at the hip with the outcome. The momentum with which, for instance, Kenya Kwanza had after being declared winners in the just concluded election was that they were likely going to move with that momentum to the Mombasa gubernatorial contest as well as Kakamega.
And the other four.
Yes.
All
so
right.
the decision of the IEBC, and again, when the chairman was postponing that, we've seen the commission speaking from different. They're not speaking united.
It's not one voice.
Was
yeah?
it a plenary decision to push that forward? Those are some of the issues. But I know there are now human rights activists now in Mombasa filing petitions to compel IEBC to go on with the election.
Quite interesting, yes. Because even as we are speaking of the general elections, presidential results for that matter to be contested in court, all these things still surrounding IEBC, question is, might they have a play or a role to play in this now, what we're looking at, a case, as far as the presidential elections results are concerned. I want to take a short breather, however, when we come back, we take a look at the team that Azimiola Umoja has put together as the legal team of lawyers against what Kenya Kwanza has put together, just to hear from Wakili on set what he thinks of those particular teams. Also, you might be questioning, why do we have the venue shifted from the Supreme Court, of course, in the CBD, to the Milimani courts? There's a tent there, security is tight. All these questions yet to be answered, especially from our advocate of the High Court of Kenya right now in studio. So don't go too far away.